My name is Kevin Leyton-Brown. I'm a professor of computer science, and I work on machine learning applied mostly to the design and analysis of economic systems like markets. People often think that economics is about money, but it's really not. It's about interests. So anytime that there are just a lot of people with diverging interests and some decision needs to be made, that's every bit as much an economic problem. So the real challenge of designing an economic system is to try to anticipate what kinds of unsensible things could happen and come up with a design that's going to minimize that kind of waste. Locally, you make some change that you think would make things better, but people react to that change by changing their behavior, and you end up in a totally different place. Trying to find a way of making good decisions in the presence of something that's going to change in response to you is tricky. If you imagine something like a road network, you might think that building a faster highway is going to get everyone to work faster. But what it might instead do is get everyone to move further away where the land is cheap, and the roads might get more congested rather than less. A lot of these questions have been studied by economists for a really long time. They're really foundational questions in economics. But when markets get much more complicated, then it becomes harder and harder to answer these questions using classical approaches. And machine learning has opened a lot of new doors to new ways of thinking about these problems. Computer science over the last 10 or 20 years has really been developing and starting to apply at what's effectively a new branch of math, which is machine learning, which is taking a whole lot of data and finding patterns in that data that we can't necessarily understand in a beautiful pen and paper way, but we can apply in practice. So think of building a machine learning model of all of the traffic in Vancouver. It probably doesn't have a really beautiful description that you could write down on a piece of paper, but it's good enough for Google Maps to tell you the fastest route to work. Most of economics is based on a really simplistic notion of rationality, which says that people always do the perfectly best thing for them. And we all know that's not really true about people. That's a problem for the design of markets because we have to make these forecasts about what's going to happen in the future, and it's based on a wrong assumption about behavior. Machine learning can help here because we can look at how people actually behave and build more nuanced models that can support the design of better markets. Something that's really great about working on economic problems from an academic perspective is you don't have to work necessarily on problems where there's money. I've done a lot of work on socially beneficial market design. The project maybe I'm most excited about is I worked in Uganda on setting up a market for subsistence farmers to buy and sell surplus crops, and I think it really affected people's lives. You have a few problems like how am I going to price risk in the insurance market or something that are both important and really lucrative, but you have a lot of other problems like how are we going to come up with housing for homeless people that are also really important problems, also really economic problems, but there isn't the same kind of market incentive to study them. These kinds of underserved problems are sometimes the places where you can really do the most in this kind of field, so I'm excited about that.